Max Fredricksmeyer, it is so good to have you here. I knew you when you were a rambunctious little sixth grader, just bouncing off the walls, and you just got admitted into some of the best law schools in the country. Which one did you end up choosing?
I am going to spend my next 3 years in Philadelphia attending the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
That's so exciting. You're like a lot of the kids that we see. You come in and you're just a ball of energy. Sometimes we don't know where to put that energy, and it kind of just goes everywhere.
Right.
But then once we have like a clear passion and a clear path, really cool things happen. To rewind it back, you have these like little ball of energy, and parents are like terrified, right? Because they're just bouncing off the wall, and we think it's going to be like that forever. When we have that energy and we can use it for something good, when we get super into something, it's just an amazing asset. I've never heard an adult say, I wish I had less energy, but sometimes it takes a while to find that thing for us. When I knew you in middle school, I don't think history, law, that wasn't even on your radar yet. When did you start getting into that?
I'd say junior, senior year of high school, I started to realize I'm not going to pursue sports in college. Had the moment of like, what is my next passion going to be? History and politics and government, that all came natural because my dad is a history buff. And when I saw my dad reading a book on Ben Franklin or John Adams, I started becoming more and more curious, asking him questions about how does this work? How does that work? It was definitely kind of a exponential thing where, oh, this is interesting. I want to learn more. Instead of understanding what caused the First World War, understanding the surrounding historical context of that, and then moving on to more narrow and particular things, it's something that I found to be extremely fulfilling for me and just satisfying my curiosity. Eventually, I did some research, had a few great internships, and it ultimately made me decide that I want to go to law school.
I want to highlight a couple things. First of all, if there's any parents out there that are worried that I have a fifth grader, I have a seventh grader, and they have so much energy, but they haven't found their passion yet, like, it's okay. It comes, right?
Yeah.
And the other piece is something that's so important. This is like one of my pet peeves is motivation is a dirty word for me. Everyone thinks they're going to be sitting on the couch and this flash of motivation is going to come. Well, the research shows us motivation comes the more you do something or the better you get at something. That sounds like your experience as well. You're interested in it, but the more you learn about it, the more interested in it you get. It's a hyper-focus thing, right? We get super deep into something and we just can't get enough and the whole world seems to fade out. How are your study habits and your routines and your systems compared to what the end of college looked like? Because you got into a top 5 law school in the country, right? So obviously you've busted your tail. How did that look?
A lot of the habits that you have in high school where you're able to do homework in class, where you're able to retake tests or test corrections, that's not really applicable to college. In college, professors rarely give time for you to work on assignments in class. It's all up to you. You structure that time. And so I really had to figure that out. The change between what my study habits were like in high school to now, I've gotten a lot better at organizing. I've gotten a lot better at allotting my time of what I'm going to do. I've gotten better at keeping track of assignments because otherwise, if I forget something, professors aren't going to have any leeway.
You've set up a lot of disciplines in your life and it's actually created a lot of freedom for you. What are a few examples of some systems that you've set up over time to help you harness this energy for good?
The first thing I do before every semester is I look through all the syllabi. I put in all of the assignments when they're due, all of the readings we have to do, and I do this on Google Calendar because they've got that little tasks button. And so I color code it with something that makes sense to me. The big exams or midterms or papers are dark purple. The weekly quizzes are light purple, then readings are light green. I put in my calendar when I have class so I don't forget. And halfway through the semester, it becomes second nature and I don't even look at that part of the calendar. And then each week I'll go through, what do I have to accomplish this week? Here's the first thing I need to do. I need to do the reading for this class, or I need to work on this paper. I make those blue, and then once I finish it, I go and turn it gray to let me know that that's done. Here's what I have left.
This is not something we used to do until I heard enough successful people like you do it intuitively. So many of our college students who have figured it out take all their syllabi literally on like the second day of class, spend 3 or 4 hours and plan out the entire semester. And then they're just moving stuff around. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And all these successful college kids I know, they spend a ton of time planning up front at the beginning of the semester.
I'd say it's less time because you're front loading it. Obviously, if a professor changes, okay, we're going to set this back a week, you can move it. But I see a lot of people who go week by week or day by day, like this assignment's due today, or they check their syllabi syllabus over and over and over again. Well, if you just have it in one place, you have it done.
There's the freedom, right?
Right.
There's the discipline. Nobody wants to go organize their entire semester, but then there's the freedom. You're spending less time. I have ADHD, so my attention is a depleting resource. On Monday or Tuesday, my attention's usually pretty good.
Right.
And by Thursday or Friday, I'm a hot mess. Well,
Right.
guess when most papers are due? Thursday or Friday. Front loading it, I'm actually probably spending less time. I'm just allocating it a different way.
I'm a huge fan of front loading. Once I get an assignment, when's the earliest I can do it? I used to be someone who procrastinated. In high school, I absolutely was the person who would be, okay, night before,
Yeah.
I'm going to write this paper. But no, now I've had papers where I'll complete it a week before it's due and submit it.
And get feedback on it.
Right. That's huge. Is office hours are immensely helpful. Office hours are professors telling you what you need to do to get an A.
And being purposeful. When I was bombing out of college, someone's like, go to office hours. I just show up to office hours. I'm like, hey, I'm here. But having a paper, it doesn't even have to be completely done. But in motion, then you can ask purposeful questions. You can get the person who's grading your paper as the person giving you feedback. You're guaranteeing yourself a very good grade.
If you execute it, yeah. One thing I like to do is go, okay, I'm halfway done with my paper. I'm going to go into office hours and explain to my professor or TA or whoever's going to be grading, here's what I have now and here's where I envision it going. Do you have any feedback or do you have any advice for what I have or what my plan is?
I would have killed for that advice when I was struggling so much. It's great advice. What else have you done to create structure in your life that you've seen a lot of payback with?
I get up at the same time every morning. I have the same routine. I shower, I eat breakfast, brush my teeth. If it's a weekday, I go to class. If it's a weekend, get up and start doing homework. Having that routine, because I don't like going off routine. And so it keeps me structured, because if I don't do it, I just feel off and I don't like feeling off.
The number one piece of feedback I get, especially from college students, is this is going to make my life terribly boring if I do it, if day after day it's similar. Has it made your life boring?
I'd say it makes it boring in a absolutely good way, in the sense that I don't want my life to be full of shocks and surprises and things that I'm not expecting. I want to be able to envision how my day is going to go and go out and execute my day.
And you still have time for fun and friends.
Oh, yeah.
You probably have more time for fun and friends, right?
And I'll say another thing, because you mentioned motivation. In my experience, motivation comes and goes. It's a feeling that is there and sometimes it's not. It's never a constant thing. What is constant is discipline. When you have a bunch of motivation, the first thing you should do is establish some sort of discipline in your life, some sort of schedule, routine, whatever it is that you think will get you to where you want to be. And once that motivation goes away, you have that structure. You're going to be better off.
To implement a lot of these disciplines, going to things like office hours, going to group study sessions, because to do all this on your own is incredibly hard. I think it's more about structure in your life.
The number one tool to gain discipline is structuring your life. I think everyone's different. And just as everyone has a different means of organization that makes sense for them, everyone has a different way they want their life to be structured.
Yeah. I love that. It's just figuring out what that structure is, how it works for you. The other piece of blowback you get from the structure thing is someone's like, I'm a creative, I'm a musician, I'm an artist. This isn't going to work in my life. But when you dive into history and you look at Picasso, you look at the great creatives, the Da Vinci's, if you read their biographies, they're very clear. Picasso, he blocked out from noon, like 6 or 8 p.m. every single night, where he was in his studio no matter what. So he had very clear boundaries, and within those clear boundaries, creativity thrived. He wasn't like getting all this willpower and wasting all this energy trying to figure out what he was going to do next. It's been a pretty cool journey for me to watch you. What's next for you? What do you want to study? What do you want to do with this law degree?
With my experiences working here, my experiences in some of my other internships, I've realized that the legal field is a huge way you can make a good impact in the world by advocating for others, whether that be advocating for businesses or representing people who were injured in a car wreck. There's a lot of good you can do in the world with law. You can change people's lives with law. I'm always striving to do better and make the world a better place. However I can do that with a law degree is something I'm shooting for.
Amazing stuff. I'm super proud of you. I'm grateful for how you systematize your life and how hard you've worked. It's always my job to remind you that stress plus rest equals growth. I want you to bust your tail, and I also want you to take care of yourself when you're going into this stressful time of life. That's how it would make a real difference.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me.